You ever feel like being kind makes you look weak? Like the more genuine you are, the more the world sees you as naive? Dostoevsky didn't just understand that feeling. He wrote a whole novel about it. But what if what looks like foolishness is actually quiet power in disguise? Today we're unpacking the hidden strength of being good even when no one sees it. So here's the question. Is your goodness a flaw or your greatest form of courage? Purity can look like weakness. Dostoevsky's Prince Mishkin is so honest and transparent that others label him an idiot. In life, the most sincere and morally centered people are often misunderstood. But their strength lies in holding firm to their integrity, even when the world ridicules or rejects them. In a world that often rewards sharpness, strategy, and self-promotion, choosing to live with sincerity can feel like a disadvantage. When you speak honestly, show compassion, or extend trust, some will take you for naive, but the truth is, there's a quiet strength in purity of heart that few have the courage to uphold. Purity is not about being perfect or untouched by the world. It's about maintaining your values even when others abandon theirs. It's about choosing not to let bitterness shape your behavior, even when you've been hurt. It's standing firm in kindness when cruelty seems more effective. That takes more strength than reacting with aggression or indifference. Think of the times when you stayed true to yourself, when you apologized even though it made you vulnerable, when you forgave without being asked, or when you showed up for someone without expecting anything in return. Those moments aren't signs of weakness, they are proof of an inner power that doesn't need validation. Yes, purity might not make you the loudest in the room or the quickest to win, but it makes you trustworthy, grounded, and rare. In the long run, people will remember not how clever you were, but how you made them feel and what your presence brought into their life. So if you've ever been made to feel soft for having a good heart, remember, softness isn't weakness, it's resistance to becoming cold. In a world that tries to harden you, staying kind is revolutionary. And that makes you anything but a fool. It makes you powerful in the most meaningful way. Kindness is not naivety, it's a choice. To be kind in a competitive, self-serving world isn't foolish, it's moral courage. Mishkin chooses compassion not because he's blind to evil, but because he's aware of it and refuses to mirror it. In everyday life, choosing empathy over apathy is an act of quiet rebellion. Kindness isn't something that just happens to you, it's something you choose, especially when it's hard. Anyone can be pleasant when life is going well, when others are kind first, when things feel fair. But true kindness emerges when you have every reason to close off and you still choose to stay open. In a harsh world, kindness is often mistaken for weakness. But look closer. It takes strength to be patient when you're angry, to be generous when you're lacking, and to forgive when you're still hurting. That's not ignorance. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's power. Choosing kindness doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you respond with intention, not impulse. It means you're strong enough to lead with your values, even when others don't. It's refusing to let bitterness become your compass, not because you're blind to injustice, but because you've decided that your integrity matters more than revenge. And kindness isn't just for others, it's for you too. Each act of empathy strengthens your character. Each moment you respond with grace instead of rage rewires your inner world toward peace and clarity. You start to realize that kindness is not about being liked. It's about liking the person you're becoming. So when someone mistakes your kindness for foolishness, let them. You're not living to prove them wrong. You're living to stay aligned with something greater. In a world full of reaction, choosing kindness is rebellion. And that rebellion creates a ripple. One that reminds others they too can lead with light. Kindness is not a weakness to outgrow, it's a strength to grow into. And each time you choose it, you grow a little more unshakable. Challenging the logic of ego. Our world often rewards manipulation and dominance. A person who acts without ulterior motives disrupts the system. That's why genuine goodness is sometimes dismissed as stupidity. But, as Dostoevsky shows, intelligence can be directed inward toward conscience and soul rather than outward performance. The ego tells us to protect ourselves at all costs, to dominate conversations, to prove our worth constantly, to never appear weak or unsure. It builds walls of pride and whispers that vulnerability is dangerous. But what if true strength lies not in defending ourselves, but in letting go of the need to constantly be right, seen, or praised? Challenging the ego means choosing growth over image. It means allowing yourself to be a student again, even when you used to being the expert. It means admitting mistakes quickly, forgiving others freely, and not needing every interaction to tilt in your favor. That's not weakness. That's liberation from the exhausting game of appearances. In everyday life, ego shows up subtly, interrupting when someone else is speaking, taking offense too quickly, refusing help or needing to have the last word. When you recognize these habits, you open the door to something deeper, humility. And humility isn't about lowering yourself, it's about making room for wisdom, connection, and clarity. When you stop serving the ego, you begin to serve truth. You stop comparing and start creating. You stop reacting and start listening. You stop proving and start being. You begin to move through life with quiet confidence instead of loud insecurity. Dostoevsky reminds us through his characters that the truly free person is not the one with the most control, but the one least controlled by ego. Letting go of the ego's logic allows you to live with more presence, authenticity, and peace. And in doing so, you don't lose power. You reclaim it from the illusions that were draining you. You don't have to be louder to be heard. You don't have to be first to be fulfilled. Sometimes stepping back is the most powerful step forward. Authenticity is revolutionary. Mishkin doesn't try to win approval. He lives by inner truth that makes him vulnerable but deeply human. In a world of masks and games, living authentically is radical. And while it may cost you popularity, it will earn you depth and meaning. Being authentic in today's world is no small act, it's a quiet revolution. It's choosing to show up as you are, even when it's easier to blend in, perform, or pretend. It's having the courage to express your values, even when they clash with popular opinion or challenge the comfort zones of others. Authenticity requires inner clarity. You must know who you are beneath the noise, your voice, your beliefs, your boundaries. It means living from the inside out rather than constantly adapting to outer approval. And in doing so, you create a life that is not only true, but deeply meaningful. In everyday life, authenticity looks like speaking honestly instead of people-pleasing. It means saying no without guilt when something goes against your values. It's choosing depth over surface, purpose over popularity, and truth over convenience. When you stop filtering yourself for acceptance, you start attracting real connection. People who see you and stand with you, not the mask you wear. Yes, being real might make some people uncomfortable. It might invite judgment, misunderstanding, or even rejection. But that's the price of living in freedom. The reward is peace. The peace that comes from knowing you don't have to perform to be worthy. Because Dostoevsky's characters often live torn between masks and identity. But those who embrace their raw, unfiltered selves, even in suffering, find a deeper kind of strength. That's the invitation for us, too. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Your truth becomes a mirror and a torch, reflecting who you are and lighting the way for others to stand in their own. Because in a world addicted to illusions, the most radical thing you can be is real. A legacy built on heart. The so-called fool who loves without calculation may not be celebrated by society, but he leaves a different kind of mark. One that reaches hearts, not headlines. If you feel out of place for choosing goodness, maybe it's because you're planting something real, something lasting. The legacy you leave isn't defined by your titles, wealth, or social status. It's shaped by how deeply you lived and how fully you loved. Long after your name fades from lists or plaques, people will remember how they felt in your presence, what you stood for, and what you gave without needing recognition. Living from the heart means leading with compassion even when it's inconvenient, being present when someone needs you, and doing what's right even when no one is watching. These quiet choices build a legacy not measured in metrics, but in meaning. They leave ripples, the kind that inspire others to be kinder, braver, and more human. In daily life, you create this kind of legacy by choosing intention over impulse, by lifting others instead of competing with them, by building relationships rooted in honesty, not gain. It's in small things, the extra minute you give to truly listen, the word of encouragement you offer a stranger, the grace you extend to someone who failed. These things don't make headlines, but they build something far more lasting. Dostoevsky's work reminds us that it's the souls who love deeply, suffer honestly, and act with integrity. Even when misunderstood, they leave the most profound mark. Not because they tried to be remembered, but because they dared to live from the center of their being. So ask yourself, if today were part of your legacy, what would it say? What values are you imprinting on those around you? When you live from the heart, you're not just passing through life, you're shaping it. You're leaving behind not just memories, but momentum. And in doing so, you become the kind of person the world doesn't just remember. It's better because you were here. Now let me ask you this. In what area of your life are you choosing heart over ego? Drop a comment. Your voice might help lift up someone else. If this message resonates, you'll want to click on the next video where we dive deeper into the power of inner transformation and how suffering can sharpen the soul.